The first major punk event in Wellington was a thing called the New Wave Spectacular in June of '78, when a bunch of bands came down from Auckland and did this gig at the Wellington Town Hall on a miserably cold, wet Sunday afternoon. Suburban Reptiles and the Scavengers and a few other bands like that, and one Wellington band, 52, also were on the bill.
First gig was Flesh Device and Compass Mentis at Clyde Quay, which was round Oriental Bay, which I think is apartment blocks now, and that was 84.
The first show I went to was the 1994 World Day for Animals show at Arrow Street Hall.
The first punk show I ever went to was a large outdoor, sort of something like 14 or 15 bands afternoon event in Singapore at a place called the Substation, which was a local community arts place.
My mum wouldn't let me come into town on the train, so I couldn't go to any Thistle Hall shows. So that was sort of like fantasy world out there somewhere. People would report back, you know, the cool kids at school would go, oh yeah, went to a Thistle Hall show, Choice, you know, all these bands, so cool, you know.
I must have looked like a dick. I wore this kind of checkered shirt and I had like a pork pie hat with a scar hat, you know, and obviously I didn't have that quite worked out, so.
And it was the first time, I mean, there'd been probably little pockets of people getting into punk all around Wellington, but that's the first time that they were all together, really, in one kind of thing. And everybody's sort of looking, oh, it's awesome over there. You know, it's like all of a sudden you realise that you weren't alone. You know, I mean, there was a time when I thought I was the only person in Wellington into punk rock, you know.
Some younger guy whose sister was a punk rocker who got me along to it, he was like, oh yeah, there'll be a pretty heavy skinhead crowd there because it's Flesh Device, and don't spike up your mohawk or anything like that. So trying to flatten down a bright pink mohawk or whatever to go to the gig.
It's more or less my own age, playing music to people their own age and having fun, you know. It wasn't necessarily all the bands I instantly liked, but it was definitely more, I don't know, closer to what I thought the music should have been about.
Seeing all those bands, Life in the Fridge exists, and a few others on that particular weekend, that's when it all seemed to gel for me. That's when I felt the first focus of that community thing I was talking about before.
I went to a diecast show in the Hart Valley because I was allowed to go to shows in the Hart Valley, and so I don't know, just like, oh, this is the best stuff ever. This is like Nirvana and Pearl Jam and stuff, but it's actually it's better.
Just sitting there and just watching all this like really full-on slam dancing, going, just going, fuck, I'm not going up there, I'll get squashed like a rope.
And it was just absolutely nuts, people throwing themselves everywhere, and by the end of the night I had a black eye and scratches all over myself, and yeah, I was sold on it. This was my thing.
And yeah, definitely like a lot more of a community feel, and you know, sort of looking at other faces who are into the music as well and smiling, and I don't know, it's really comfortable.
Yes, I came to Wellington to become a big rock star. Not a big rock star, but just to be in a band, because coming from Wanganui and stuff, there's not really much choice.
Sunday club.
Yeah, Sunday club.
We ate food and got drunk and played music.
That's how on Sundays. That's how the carnies started.
I think that what happened is Richard first brought along punk records. We had this band called the Vultures, and
I've been wanting to get into a band for years. It's a case of finding people stupid enough to want to be in a band with me. And they rang me up one day and said, "You want to join a band?" And we went, "Oh, okay."
I actually ended up on a Labour Department scheme, and you had a few things to choose from: gardening, art, or music. And we thought music would be the soft option, so we got in there. And I'd never played an instrument in my life.
So we were sitting there, and we had enough to drink by that stage that anything was possible. So I sort of turned to, I think it was Clark who suggested the idea originally. He said, "Oh, let's get something together for this New Year's Eve thing." I said, "Oh, yeah, what the hell not?" We had a few. And so I turned to the two girls who were sitting next to me, which was Sue Forbes and Lynette Moss. Lynette, of course, later of the Warsock, and said, "Oh, you two can sing."
So I ended up being the vocalist and writing some songs for them and jumping around on stage for 4 gigs.
And we just sort of formed a band. We'd turn up at this scheme and check in the morning and then bugger off, go via the bottle store to Neil already had a practice room with another band he was in, and we'd just jam all day. And it was just so punk rock, oi oi. It was just so much fun.
The thing about punk is there's so many sort of different issues and stuff with it. It's like why people get into it. But for me, it was just it sounded like a lot of fun, without having to worry too much about whether my playing was actually perfect and that kind of shit.
And suddenly we were this punk band.
I didn't even know anything about punk when I first started playing in the carnies. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know it existed. I just said okay. And then here I am now.
But the party shows were the ones that we used to play. A lot of the time we'd go to a friend's place and we'd play a garage, or we'd play somebody's spa pool room or something, set up and bring amps and have something that was more low key but just as much fun. And everyone knew the songs when it came time. When you took it to Wellington and you had it in front of a hall, you had you had a contingent of people that were going to come
you brought in from the Hutt Valley.
Yeah.
A week and a half later, we're up on stage at Thistle Hall, banging out this little 15-minute set, and it was great. It was just completely shambolic. And as soon as the set was over, we broke up. That was the whole point. It was just only meant to be for that one night only, and then Clark and I were going to get something proper together. But I don't think I ever had more fun playing on stage than I did that night.
So we were getting a lot of different sorts of acts coming through to what had been. And they were bands that had never really had venues before, because they'd always had to put on their own shows in like little halls or garages or whatever. That was hence the garage band label, I guess. But it did provide them with an outlet, but it also attracted a different sort of audience, which brought a different set of difficulties with it.
We used to turn up at the Last Resort after that, and because we were at Clyde Key School and the Last Resort was just down on Courtney Place, we'd actually carry our gear down and say, "Hey, can we play support tonight?" And we'd get a half-hour gig, and we just got up and we played flat out, really fast.
Because anybody can do it, because I can't sing for shit, so actually it was true punk rock, because I was fucking appalling.
Yeah, I don't even know how well we played. For me, not that well, but that wasn't the issue. Okay,
we were shit, but then so were a lot of other bands, and the people. We got slagged off by certain sections of the audience, but the point is, the people who didn't slag us off were people in other bands, because they knew how hard it was to get up there on a stage with minimal talent and actually try and do something. And yeah, we might have been crap, but at least we tried to do something. We tried to make a difference. We tried to actually get up there and stir Wellington out of its apathy. And
people seem to enjoy the antics and stuff. Anyway, we always tried to do something strange and different and interesting. Well, some people enjoyed it. I know we pissed a lot of people off, but